Welcome to A Gentleman's Guide. I'm Tom Van.
I'm Dan Dennis.
I'm Steve Kramer.
Boom.
We have a special guest today. I'm excited
good friend.
to have this gentleman in because he really is an inspiration to, I guess you could say,
any aspiring entrepreneur.
Yeah, and anybody that wants to dive into new media or not mainstream media and like start your own thing and provide your own content and whatever content that may be to an audience. And we have Matt Moreman in studio from Obsessed Garage.
Which also, not only did he start a business in new media, not only it is a successful business, that's profitable, but also he's doing what he loves. And, before we started, Daniel was asking him, do you take time for yourself for anything you really enjoy? And he said, I'm doing what I enjoy. Like, he loves his work.
I had a blank stare, and I'm like,
If you love what you do, it's never really work.
There's anything but that?
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Now, the thing is, I was thinking about this the other day because I get stressed out to the max some days, and Daniel sees me, and then...
we each have our times when I'm stressed. Like, mine would be more on the hardware side when something breaks in here, and it's up to me to fix it. But the problem is that I have to fix it really quickly because we're doing daily content. Mm-hmm. So there's no such thing as me like going, I got a week to handle that, or I'll order the parts on Amazon. You just can't do, sometimes you can do it, but not very often. And then for you, I see you handshaking, staring at the SunTrust, banging your head on the monitor.
Mine's at all times because that's being a lawyer is like riding on a unicycle with your hair on fire while juggling cats.
Yeah.
I can see that.
It's and I feel like saying to the world, like, you got to do what you love and you'll be successful. That is true, but I think it's misleading a little bit. Because
sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to do
what
you have to do.
Yeah,
you and I had to do that.
There's days I don't love this.
Even to get to this point, remember, we had to work out contracts. That was horrible. But it was horrible.
Now, getting on the air and doing this is great, and I enjoy it. But I mean, there are days, believe me, that I'm like stressed out. I'm trying to figure out where this business is going. On the stress and everything. Sometimes I think like I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this is like too stressful. Like, you start thinking the grass is greener. I was like, I wish I just showed up and just pressure wash the sidewalk, or like I showed up and I don't care about the company I'm working for. I'm just putting in my hours and waiting to go home. Like, I'm like, man, that would be nice. But what I think that the
makes
point,
those days of counting down the clock seem like halcyon
but
days.
But on the other end, I've been on the other end, and I hate it.
So no grass is greener.
So it's always going to be you have to grind at what you like to do. Some days are not gonna, some days are better than others, but at the end of the day, I think working for yourself, you are way more appreciative and you get way more out of it than working for someone else as far as that goes.
Well, let's hear from the guy who's living the dream.
I know. All right.
Because Daniel asks him, do you find any time for yourself? And he says, I do what I love.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about this because not many people have that.
Well, the blessing of being a little crazy or a lot crazy is that I know what I don't like to do. Because and so I focus a lot of, even though so the work part for me, the part that I don't like to do is that I sit around trying to figure out how to get somebody else to do what it is I don't want to do, and then I try to figure out how do I make that person make enough money so that I don't have to actually pay them, that they pay for themselves.
Did we even introduce our guest? I'm not sure.
We did. We said Obsessed Garage, but I don't know if we explained what he does.
Yeah.
So how should we explain what you do, Matt?
Let's let you explain.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So 5 years ago, I had a meltdown, was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, started sharing my life on YouTube. And my life in the garage, which is where my passion is, and it turned into I guess certain people identified with that, my style, with what I was saying, and it eventually I was a wealth management professional. Eventually, my wealth management job became a real inconvenience to my YouTube channel, and they, believe it or not, they walked me out the door because of the YouTube channel, which I retained Steve to get me out of trouble.
I don't want to bring that up, but
And so after that, now my parents work for me, and I've hired just really talented people to come in and do individual jobs. So what I do is I find products from all over the world that I'm interested in buying, and I probably have already bought them, and then I figure out how to deliver them to people with a simple formula: take photos, make videos, and write my own personal description about why you would want this product. And now we do, $800,000-$900,000 a month in sales of the stuff that I would have, that I bought, and would spend my own money on because I wanted the product so badly. And a lot of these things, it was so difficult to buy that I've identified opportunities and how to deliver them better than they're delivered now.
Matt, when you buy the products now, do you just job them where you're basically, take the orders and, they get drop shipped from the supplier, or do you actually warehouse them and resell them?
Any drop shipping company that I've dealt with, they just can't deliver the way that I want it delivered.
You've played with that before, and you've obviously honed this.
I'm doing the opposite of what everyone tells you to do, which is you need to automate, you need to drop ship, you need to carry no inventory.
You've got complete control which fits with the Obsessed Garage
and my mom,
idea.
who's obsessed like I am, is in charge of packing.
Amazing.
And so we do 100 to 200 orders a day of really sophisticated, like car soap and pressure washers and garage flooring and lighting. There are 3 or 4 products I drop ship that just aren't logistically don't make sense because there's like 50 colors or something like that. But most of the stuff I've got 11 storage units now because I only have 2,000 square feet, and we're doing 10 million out of 2,000 square feet. But
now, Matt, the
crazy,
the original Catalyst product was the high-end pressure washer that you had, right?
Everybody told me no one would buy. Yeah.
Now that did you? I can't remember. Did you drop ship that, or did you actually?
So I still drop ship the pressure washer, but I all the rest of the products we assemble and torque to spec and send it out because that alleviates a lot of problems that people wouldn't know how to put.
Yeah,
you're
throwing extra eyes on it. Well, number one, number two, you're putting them. I mean, they're paying for as much as the product, your expertise and the fact that you know this product like the back of your hand, right? I mean,
and then the differentiator is that I'm teaching people about the product because I love it and I know it.
Right.
I put it together, and so I'm asking people to pay retail, so I don't run sales, and I'm asking them to pay for shipping.
Right. Well, and the interesting line of demarcation here is, when you had a full-time job and those golden handcuffs, you were stuck in that drop ship world. You could never have managed the inventory like you do now. And by kind of taking the leap, right, making the leap of faith and leaving that safe life behind and taking a risk, now it sounds like you've been able to focus and really take complete control and step up everything to a whole new level.
Yeah, now I make daily videos, and all I do all day is buy BMWs and Porsches and put parts on them and make videos and polish them. Like right now I'm polishing the BMW I just bought.
To keep or resell?
Just because I want it.
I like that.
Okay,
it's a nice life.
There's so much to talk about. Now,
I buy pub subs daily. Polish those with my teeth.
The first thing I want to talk about is recently
That's all I got.
You were in a Facebook ad about Facebook groups, and explain, because you told me a little bit before, but I want to talk about your journey out to Facebook's headquarters.
I told you this a couple of, maybe a month or so ago, but I don't think you understood what I meant by
No,
Obsessed Garage was in an ad that I saw. So I'm on Facebook.
A Facebook ad.
Like corporate Facebook.
Yeah, like an ad from the company Facebook.
Not like a regional Facebook ad like, hey, this is targeted to 32750.
Yeah.
No, like
because I know
national.
Matt, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, he bought ad space for, I'm like, I think that, I've seen the group before. And then I'm like, wait a minute, no. This is from this is from big Facebook.
So what happened exactly? How'd they contact you?
So back up just a little bit. Started the YouTube channel. Wanted to figure out a way to give the people that were watching my videos a voice. So I started a Facebook group in 2016. Immediately we had 1,000 people. That has grown. That grew to about 25,000. Facebook contacted me because Facebook's their main goal is to promote and talk about groups. They believe that that's their next evolution. That's how they keep people on platform, and that's how they connect people.
I could see that.
And so community was there, and groups and community was their 2019 push.
Okay.
And so they were looking for some groups to feature. And so I got a message from some casting director from Facebook, which I thought was bullcrap, but I just answered her.
Yeah.
And then as
in scam email.
yeah, it's like it's just
Because
a
who really
random
believes that?
Sky Bukarat from Facebook casting. You know, anybody could give themselves that title.
Yeah,
and I just
exactly.
kind of reluctantly said, yeah, whatever. And then as she called me, and then I realized it said Facebook, you know, calling from Facebook, and she was on campus. You could see in the background.
That's got to be
and-
surreal.
Yeah, and so she said, you know, and they were just looking for some groups to just use the name. And I guess she liked my story, the story of obsession, the story of why I started it, and what the group is about, which they were looking for diversity around passion, which it couldn't be any more specific.
That's you.
Yeah.
And so they flew me out to Los Angeles.
Were you
and,
the whole ad?
No, they'd flown like 7 or 8 different groups.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the only one in his ad, though.
We were
Oh,
the first,
okay.
We were the first
Wow.
ad chosen for them to push
didn't
for the
see it.
campaign.
Yeah, it's funny because I think it might have to do with the things that, like, I'm always
Yeah.
on Uncrate. I'm always looking at luxury yachts, crazy cars.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I'm looking at is dumb Peloton groups and stuff like that. So the only
Yeah.
2 I've seen of these 8 ads are fitness and then Obsessed Garage. Those are the
Yeah.
only 2 I've seen,
Really?
which it must be they know what I've been looking at.
Yeah, it's just like
Of
if
course.
you or I wanted to
Aggregate, yeah.
advertise, you could target demographics.
Yeah.
And so I went out and flew out there. They flew me, you know, first class Delta, stayed at the Four Seasons, picked me up a black limo. You know what the coolest thing about this whole thing? I went to the hotel, the Four Seasons in Hollywood. I got out of the car, and the bellhop, Matt, I watch your videos.
That's awesome. That's always good.
Well, that
So,
I mean, it's
it's
worth
like-
the trip just for that.
Yeah.
I'm in Los Angeles.
That's
this
cool.
goof from Ocala, from Central Florida, and this dude in Hollywood.
You can
opens
make a
the
lot of money
door,
being a Hollywood valet, man, or a bellhop. You
and
know,
he's
you
like,
can do
"Man,
all
I
right.
watch your videos." But it was cool because he knew not to like be awkward because he's probably trained in the Four Seasons.
Yeah, he
yeah,
sees
yeah.
famous people and celebrities all the
And
time.
they probably train him not to bother people. So it was a really cool, really kind exchange. And then
That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
just thought it was so surreal that I'm in like the place of the most famous people in the world that I'm.
Then
you know,
say he recognized
this-
you. Yeah,
like literally opens the door to my car. Matt, hey, I love your videos.
That's awesome.
So you were astonished about how much of a waste
Oh
of money Facebook, just like everything. Now,
Yeah, but they've got money to piss away, basically.
I know.
mean, they have.
Yeah.
I know.
They have endless money.
So they rented a neighborhood, like an entire, like take this street, this whole street they rented, only one side of it though. So people were living on the other side, and they had, I think there were 13 trailers, like big white trailers.
Yeah.
And there were probably 800 to 1,000 people working different things. So they had like a cooking group. They had a single dads group, which that single dads group has gone. There's been all kinds of articles of how it's gone awry, like that group has kind of become a cesspool.
no, yeah, okay, yeah,
You have
Well,
to really put them. So
Good
I've
job,
been-
single dads.
so
Way
I've
to
been
do
following-
it. You're always going to be not as good as single moms. You're just a bunch of swamp trash. Especially single dads are out here. I see them.
So
We'll be in that group
You have
soon.
to really police this. Who gets in, and the people have to answer questions. And I've got 19 moderators that moderate my group, and all volunteers that watch it. And so I get there, and I have to go to makeup, and I never have makeup in my freaking life. And then they had made me bring like I have 20 T-shirts and 4 pairs of these types of
full
shorts.
clown makeup, right?
And yeah, just a little bit for me, more like to get the shiny head out.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
But it was really odd to like be. This was like a legitimate Hollywood set.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had a lady whose entire job, she had a green roll of tape, and she was to tape positions. She'd be like running, tape. The director would be like, tape here, tape. And so they had a director.
Tom does that to us, and we don't
and
know
an
why.
assistant director
Yeah,
and an
it's
assistant
weird.
director to the director, and every single thing, like all I was to do was to wipe a car with a towel. And of course, they set up the garage super janky. I'm like, why didn't you freaking call me? I'm the garage guy.
Yeah.
Set up
This
the
is like
garage.
you're
How
like, this
dr-
is
how crazy did it
nothing-
drive you?
This is nothing
Oh,
like my
I was,
videos.
I was like, man, I should get out of here because they're going to make my brand. They're going to make me look like
Did they use
total trash.
that was,
I would never do it like this.
That was going to be a question I have for you. Did they use any of the products? Did you have to give them any spec?
No,
or did
no. They had
That's so unfortunate too, because
Yeah.
like for you, that's gonna.
They
yeah.
had Husky cabinets from Home Depot, and some stick-on laminate floor.
Yeah.
You're like, this is misrepresenting
And
my
what-
brand.
The funniest part is I always rail against pegboard.
Yeah.
Like any self-respecting, obsessed person would never have pegboard.
Yeah.
And so they had pegboard all over the wall. They're like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "It's great."
Nah.
But they're holding out like storyboards of an artist that drew me, and here's what you're gonna do.
Did it look like you?
Yeah, but I mean, this was like literal. I wish I could have
to
that.
It's just the
Yeah, it'd be
insane
nice if they gave it to
production.
you.
I'm in it for 4.5 seconds.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
All
Yeah.
that.
And they didn't give you a storyboard?
How much-
Come on.
I
How
had to
much
watch
money-
it. I had to watch it a couple times to
my
confirm to
my
me that it
hotel
was our
bill
friend.
was like $4,800.
Yeah. So you estimated that
My God.
they may have spent like above 25,000.
Oh, on
Yeah.
a national ad like that, the budgets are way higher than that. I would say
Well,
like
no,
50 to
no,
100.
no,
Oh, just on him?
Just on Matt.
Just on
for
you?
4 seconds. Yeah. No.
Well, I flew.
Not
Del-
on the rest of the production,
No,
not on the
that's
director,
millions,
not on the
that's
camera,
millions.
not on the
They
cast.
booked me a Delta first class flight because I said I'm only flying Delta. I'm not coming there if I'm going to fly Southwest or some bull crap like that. And so they booked the flight like 2 days in advance through a booking agent,
So it's the most-
and then changed
God,
it 2 days
expensive.
later. So the flight probably cost $3,000.
Well, that's assuming Facebook doesn't have a back end. They've got a corporate deal where they've got a special red phone. They pick it up and they're like, we need the best seat in first class for our guy.
It still
was-
costs some money
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
and they're
but they
still
get
paying for
they get a
that.
better rate, okay?
It was,
They get a special.
It was surreal.
They got to.
And there will be more because I was also interviewed. Like they followed me around, so I had a camera crew that followed me around the set and interviewed me, and it was almost like they were vlogging my my whatever I was doing there the whole time.
Let's talk real quick about Facebook's headquarters because you also mentioned to me how
like the
weird it
on-campus
was.
deal.
Yeah, and how it seemed like everybody there had nothing to do, and this was all a facade.
It was the most amazing place I've ever been in my life. So it's in Palo Alto, just south of where Apple's headquarters is, and this was Sun Micro. Remember Sun Microsystems?
Yeah.
That made like really stout like machines for rendering and editing and stuff like
yeah.
that. So they bought the Sun Microsystems building. And then they've kind of made it better. So when you
Facebook did.
Facebook did. So when you walk in, there's security everywhere, like just, but not like they don't look real serious. They just look like happy Facebook people. They have black shirts and everybody else has blue shirts.
Okay.
But they encourage visiting from anybody. But you have to be accompanied by somebody. So family, friends. And they're encouraged.
So you
people
can't
to come
just
and
be there
show
for
off.
no reason. You have to be
Right.
there with someone.
But they're showing off what they built. You walk in and there's music playing. It's like you're walking into like Jurassic Park at Universal Studios. It's like themed.
Wow.
And there's like probably 15 restaurants, and they're all free. Everything's free. And a lot of tech companies are like that. I kid you not, every 25 yards is a micro kitchen with like a Starbucks, everything you can imagine, and like just like your little fridge out there times
just
like
stock
1,000
with everything
private
for free.
chef.
This whole wall, there's like a little, like you're making, they're making.
Wait, there's a chef in each kitchen?
Some of them have them,
Wow.
at certain hours, but there's just people everywhere, like just hanging out with their families. It's like you're at Universal Studios.
So you saw no actual like work being done. Like the whole thing. This
So-
was.
Yeah, we know there's a lot of work being done.
So I'm asking.
Me and Matt were having this conversation before.
I'm asking my buddy who, or actually one of my followers has toured me around. So I'm like, what is it that you do here? He couldn't. He's like, well, I've only been here 9 months. I'm just kind of. We're encouraged to kind of go and.
Now contrast that with the article I read about the companies that could outsource to handle moderation.
Oh yeah.
Have you read those articles? They're terrifying.
Well, that's all the
They're
Indian.
like cracking.
No.
They're like a
no.
whip.
There's an office like in St. Pete or like in Central Florida somewhere. Somewhere I don't know if it's Tampa or Orlando, but there's an office, and it's like the stories there are horrific because basically all these people have like PTSD because all they do is watch
I
these
heard that,
videos
yeah.
and flag them
Yeah.
and take them down.
and the animal abuse of
the worst
horrible
of
things,
the
yeah.
worst of the worst all day long. So I
Well,
mean,
no one wants to see
obviously
that.
it's not in. Yeah, if you're going to build heaven, you don't want that in your heavenly headquarters.
So
make your coffee taste bad.
What me and Matt were talking about is like there's this facade building of like this is the best place on earth, and I'm sure there's the cubicles of never-ending moderators that work 10-hour shifts, and those are the horrible behind-the-scenes things that you're not gonna you want to walk into a giant tech company, Facebook. Look at this, like it's a theme park.
I just the confusing part for me is that I'm spending all of my time and energy building structure around like 10 people.
Yes, yeah.
And how they have 40,000. Like, how can you manage that? And with such a new company, it was fascinating to see. And I guess the concept is get as many smart humans together as possible.
Yeah.
And let them make stuff.
Yeah, and come up with ideas.
But with like zero direction
structure
or guidance.
There's no vacation time. There's no start time. There's no end time. The idea behind having all the cool stuff there is that people don't want to leave.
You'll want to be there, yeah.
But I mean, I'd have a hard time. There's arcades. There's barber shop. There's the multiple.
Any
types
alcohol
of gyms.
or?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I would imagine they wouldn't. You go there. I'm going to get loaded again.
It seems like just a gigantic waste.
It's like a nerd
There was
factory.
a dad, in the arcade. His son's playing games. He's sitting on his computer. I could see he's writing some sort of code. So I guess there's certain. They must have like a really ironclad personality test that's probably been vetted and tested for the tech industry where because it's hard to get in there.
Yeah.
And so they must have some system to like make sure that people aren't screwing off. And there's probably a certain percentage that get in there. I just find it hard to believe that you're 25 years old, you don't know anything, and you get into this like Universal Studios, Disneyland.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get any work done?
I think, I agree. I think it'd be hard for me to focus. Like, I have a hard time.
Yeah.
Like, I was listening to
too much distraction.
Well,
man.
even this morning, you and I were talking about some industry in our industry in the podcast world, things that are kind of changing and some updates. And I was listening to that podcast while I was typing emails, and that's really hard for me to do.
Yeah.
Like just with like something as simple as that. That's not even luxury or fun or anything good. That's me just trying to gather information and then put out information.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. So I think you're right.
My uncle who was with me he's a mechanical engineer. He's 60. He's been COO of many. He turns around companies, and his head exploded off his shoulders. Like he goes in and builds like ironclad structures of what and sharpens the pencil and organizes inventory, and he just sees just this massive
chaos.
Just pure chaos of new age business and
he's not on board.
Yeah, he just couldn't.
Did it make him feel like that it eventually would fail? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's got a shelf life now, and then the fuse is lit. And
so we were thinking maybe they're case studying these people, that they're crowdsourcing their own humans to study, because they all have beta versions of Facebook stuff on their phones. Or maybe it was a way to justify that they're doing 15, 18 billion in revenue a quarter.
Yeah. Because we were talking about that theory of this giant company in the United States is so big and making so much money, but probably not employing that many people for jobs. So then all of a sudden, because these companies worry about the government taxing them, because they're not in complete control. Like the United States government or whatever government their headquarters is at has control over them. Mm-hmm. So they have to justify they're hiring enough people to justify the amount of money they're making. You know what I'm saying? So there may be a little bit of that of like, hey, we employed this many employees.
Yeah.
We don't really need to, but it's cheaper for us to do that than run the risk of making so much and not employing that many people, and then the government be like, oh, well, we're going to start taxing you.
Did you see
Hey, that's a weird conspiracy theory.
Did you see any like cameras or anything? Did it seem like? Was there any like creepiness other than the fact that these people were all there?
No, they had like the most sophisticated facility management platform. Like they had large monitors, touchscreen monitors, where it was all flex space. Everything was flexible, and you could book meeting rooms on the fly, and you could and it was a lot like Facebook Messenger, where at the whole roster of employees, and you put the person, and you request a meeting with them. So there's a lot of social interaction.
Sure.
So that is what still makes me a believer, despite the chaos, and it doesn't look like anybody's in charge. That
It's organized chaos.
I guess that was the thing, that it's so new and so probably so sophisticated that if you think in traditional terms, you just can't fathom.
Did it change how you look at Facebook now, even because you use it in your own business?
Yes.
In what ways?
Well, I sold my stock.
Oh, no.
Oh, really?
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Some of it.
Yeah, but
anyway,
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Don't you have some
was
stock?
that Facebook specific?
I'm about to sell too.
No, I sold some of it because I don't understand. But I also didn't understand at the beginning. I'm like, Facebook doesn't make any money. Why are they worth more than McDonald's, like at an IPO? Like, why? Now I get. They're the second.
That was the
largest
same thing with
advertising media.
Amazon. I mean, Amazon lost money for years.
Yeah,
No
It's
longer
like,
the case.
I didn't understand it. So I've got. I'm 39 years old now, and I've kind of realized what I don't understand doesn't mean that it's not right.
Right.
Also,
Yeah.
wait until they start charging people to store their older data, and then basically like, hey, it's a $2.99 a month to store your data after 10 years. That's my theory of what they're gonna do. That way, people are like, well, my whole life is on, or my whole kid's life is on. Like, I'll pay $2.99.
They're not interested in that because they want to keep that data. Their business model for years has been
20 years ago,
has
though?
been managing and selling data.
But data from 20 years ago is not worth anything now. But
That's not true. They use it to. I mean, if you watch that Big Hack documentary,
they'll still own it. But I'm saying not showing like.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Conceal it from users.
Well, they'll tell the users like, hey, to pay to store this,
yeah.
you have
Facebook
to,
Premium.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I think. There's a whole nother
data
market.
You have to remember. I mean, Anheuser-Busch is still spending at least hundreds of millions on TV,
Correct.
and print.
They are.
That money hasn't entered Facebook yet. Hasn't entered, new media yet. So Google and Facebook. So
still
that
lot to
effectively
go.
monopolize the ad revenue on the internet.
And as it becomes less and less a mystery, because there's a whole platform called Facebook Blueprint, which you can go to and learn how to advertise on Facebook. It's very sophisticated on the auctions and how they purchase, how you can purchase.
We did all of our
advertising.
ship to shore through Facebook.
Yeah, so very, very sophisticated. So as that becomes deciphered by more and more agencies and more companies, new media type companies become more savvy than the Anheuser-Busch's and the Fords and and the Chevys and the big companies. When that money comes there, then you and I probably won't be able to afford to advertise there any longer.
Right.
And it'll become so
thing will pivot.
significant.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm such a believer. And for me, I'm such an unlikely person to be a Facebook type, because I'm an introvert, like to do things on my own. So this event of obsession and being diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder and needing an outlet, it's been so powerful for me as a human to use this platform. But I use it in to my advantage. I use it responsibly.
Yeah.
You couldn't do was there a chance to do Q&A with somebody in management and ask them, hey, what's going on here? Like, it looks like nobody's
I probably
working.
could. Yeah, I probably
It'd
could
be
at this
interesting
point.
to hear their take on it.
Because I've shared a lot with groups and how we manage and how we keep it so efficient and keep it under control and how I have moderation, and because they were concerned with, well, I have this big influx, and they've been getting a lot of negative feedback from the advertisement campaigns from the 3 or 4 groups that they advertised for.
Kind of like the single dads becoming
they
a
become
S show.
cesspool. Yeah.
Was it after the advertisement and the visit to Facebook that they become?
Because it was
what
a
happened?
single dad, single moderator, no structure, willy-nilly dude, doesn't. But
they didn't have the infrastructure for the growth.
Yeah, as you might imagine, I've got it dialed in.
Yeah.
I've got it set up, and we don't take crap, and
Well, you come from a business background
Right.
in a very structured. I mean, wealth management and financial planning is a very structured business.
Well,
yeah, and
So
I'm
it's
an
not shocking.
engineer by background,
Yeah.
and so I've been
Exactly.
able to give them some feedback from a little different perspective than someone who may be more artistic, and that's been helpful, I think, to them.
And your audience in your group is like you, like-minded, and then that's going to be one group. Like if you run a group of people,
The threads that link them together
Is
are
tighter,
Yeah.
and much more discerning, right?
If you would like run a monster truck appreciation group, you're gonna have a certain group in the, you know what I'm
Need a
saying?
lot
There's also-
of moderators.
And you may get a lot of problems out of those guys.
And there's also a personality. There's also
Imagine
an
the
element of
memes.
personality at play. You know, you have a high degree of trait conscientiousness, which is, you know, contrast with people that, you know, have the common link is something artistic or based on trait openness. You're going to have a different end result.
Yeah. All right. So I know. Okay, we got to take a break, and we
are going to run out of time.
we
so
didn't even
we
get
need to be
into-
hyper focused when we come back.
Yeah. So we didn't get into a gentleman's garage, which was the whole point of this. But
Yeah.
the problem is there's too many interesting things that Matt has to bring to the table besides the garages that I needed to
Unbelievable.
talk to him about. We could do a 5-hour show, no problem.
Have we done the idea of taking him through your garage?
That's
so,
what
so he can kill
Dan,
himself?
Yeah,
you
we've been
read
talking
my
about it
mind.
forever.
Yeah.
I thought we should start with Daniel with Tom's garage.
Well, if he came to my garage, he'd be like, "Well, it's not what I like, but I see there's some organization
potential
here."
there.
Mine,
Yeah, you
mine's
know?
just a little bit maybe less organized than yours.
You'd be happy I straightened my tools over the weekend.
Good job.
Yeah, I did. I put them all.
Well,
And
And
then
the look
there's-
that he just gave me from straightening my tools tells me that you have never straightened your tools.
Daniel and I are kind of on the middle of that spectrum. He's probably a little bit more organized than mine. Mine's organized though. And then, you know, Matt's on one side of the spectrum. And then my theory is that Tom
Yeah.
has with his old cutout witch cardboard
No, it's paper mache.
paper mache, which is
Papier-mâché.
all right. Well, let's talk about that when we get back.
Yep. So we'll be right back with more Gentleman's Guide right after this.
We're back with the Gentleman's Guide to Manliness. I'm Steve Kramer.
Tom Van.
Dan Dennis, let's hit it.
We're
All
here
right.
with Matt Moreman from Obsessed Garage, and we were going to talk about comparing Tom's garage,
Well, we've done a little bit of comparison,
but it never
before.
gets old.
You're right, but I do want to talk to just generally about a gentleman's
I
garage.
like how you totally sidestepped it.
Well, no, because
No,
we,
there
I
are
really
some-
have a
Smooth.
limited amount of time.
Well,
You're
even
right.
We've
even not
made
based
fun
on
of-
organization, even not based on cleanliness, there are a few things that I think guys have to have in their garage.
Agreed. So what do you think, Matt?
yeah.
Like, what's the
what
number
are
one?
some staples?
Well, lighting makes
Thank
a
you.
huge difference.
I knew it. Adequate lighting. In fact,
Yeah.
because Precision Garage Door is a partner of ours, and I'd always had a really crappy light from when the bank owned my house and they put it up there. But this one's LED, bright as hell, and it makes so much of a difference when I'm just working on things. Now he takes it to the next
Yeah,
level.
what's
where
ideal
his
and what's
whole
acceptable?
garage is lit.
Yeah, I mean, there are lighting calcs you can use, but I'm always going to go to the extreme because I'm detailing a lot.
course.
Sure.
So, like a normal...
And you're supposed to be the
like,
archetype
Let's say a normal
model.
garage, like Tom, your garage is probably 20 by 20 or maybe 22 by 22.
How
400
dare
square
you.
feet.
You're exactly
So
right.
normal 400 square foot garage, I would want 4 fixtures in there.
Sure.
Mine would have 6. You know, so I'd actually put 2 above. You know, the garage door opens. You'd put 2 above there on a separate switch. So when the garage door is closed, then you could turn those on, like if you're doing something, getting groceries out of the trunk or something like that.
Oh, nice.
But you'd have 6, like either 4 or 6 bulb fixtures, depending on how high your ceiling.
I know you get into this. What kind of lighting?
I like something at least 5,000 Kelvin, so that's the color.
Do you have a preference whether it's LED or fluorescent?
Fluorescent's hard to get now, so you might as well just go LED tubes.
I hate fluorescent lights.
Yeah,
I'm with
well, they've gotten a lot better. You know, the color rendering index or CRI specs are getting better. I'm going to be chasing this because we don't have a great garage fixture that exists. So I'm going to make it. I'm going to have it made.
Yeah.
Because I'm using high bay, like these are low bay fixtures in here in this studio, but high bay fixtures are what I'm using, which you would normally use in like a warehouse,
Right.
That have they get a little bright, but you want more fixtures with less bulbs so that you don't get shadowing all over the place.
So what about?
I bet you nobody has ever thought of that.
Engineers have.
It's,
Well, like you
Architects.
and I am saying.
yeah,
You know,
the
like-
lighting.
yeah.
Well, let's step
But
down.
I do enjoy now having better lights in my garage.
To-
Didn't think I would.
to some tools, compressors,
Yeah, other stuff.
different things like that. Let's go because I know and
Bare bones must-haves kind of thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on YouTube, and you explain like there's tiers that you have. I mean,
Yep.
there's your current tier, which is probably higher than the majority of your audience's tier, and
Yeah.
but you were like you've said it before in your videos, and you've graduated up.
Well, you're the
Yeah.
aspirational goal. I mean, you're trying to show the model. So what are the must-haves? What are the other
So
must-haves?
you need a 3/8 inch drive set of sockets and ratchet, right? So you need a 3/8 and quarter. You could probably skip the half-inch unless you're working on your truck all the time. You need, a set of pliers, channel locks, obviously a set of screwdrivers, like different various lengths. You need Phillips, flathead.
Any brand you lean towards?
I mean, Craftsman is an old staple.
I used to. Been a little sketched out since they sold, but I mean, the lifetime guarantee used to be so good.
Ironclad, yeah.
It is
yeah.
weird.
It was a target for
Craftsman
scams because it was so
Lowe's.
good.
At
Yeah.
Lowe's. I get weirded out by
Yeah.
it because Dad and I would go there, and I have a decent set of Craftsman screwdrivers that I think I've had since I was 16, 17, 18 years old.
Matt,
Craftsman used to. Their warranty was so good. Their
You just
guarantee
walk
was
in
so
and
good
walk out with a new tool, yeah.
that it was a target for scams. Because in the old days, people would go and they would buy used Craftsman tools, or they'd boost them, and then they'd take it back for a cash exchange or for a check or for a new or for whatever.
They'd go get new and then sell the new ones as new in their own business kind of thing.
Yeah.
Matt, I don't know if you ever had this problem, but my tools stink real bad. I don't know how to describe the stink
You've been
of it.
sticking them in your rear end.
No, well, there's an element of that.
I was gonna go with manure.
No, it's just they stink. When I open the drawer, when I touch them.
A gentleman would wipe their tools down
Yeah.
prior to putting them back.
okay.
Wipe
Take
your
care of your
tools down. He
tools,
doesn't
man.
even wash his legs.
Wait, you don't even shower, do you?
Yeah, he
Once a
showers.
week?
He
Come
showers.
on.
I heard you talking about it. I was disturbed.
No,
I had
all he
nightmares
does-
that night.
Okay,
No.
Steven, he washes his face and his hair. That's it.
And showers once a week.
No, my genitals.
I had nightmares. You were talking about it on Monday.
Well, we're
So-
talking
so-
about tools,
so-
and he's saying wipe them down.
just
with-
like
with
you
your-
wiped down your own junk.
Little tip to people who maybe want to step up their game, like Daniel, where you're
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
Check out Kaizen Foam, Kaizen.
I've seen this.
Like the Japanese word Kaizen?
Mm-hmm.
The search for
there's
perfection
a company
through
called
incremental
Fast
improvement.
Cap that makes it. Google Fast Cap as a video. They give a tour of their facility. They do lean production, lean manufacturing, which is just fascinating. But you cut out all your tools and you put them in place.
Yeah.
Nice.
Have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, so nothing really moves. So in theory, you can move your toolboxes if you're doing whatever. Nothing shifts at all. everything's in its place, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then when you're
like a
missing,
Pelican
when
case
you're
for
missing,
tools.
bingo. When you're missing something, you know where it goes. Now I have something that's next level from that. It's called Sonic. I have Sonic tools. They have like the most amazing inserts. Like every tool is.
That's
just,
cool.
Just Google Obsess Garage Sonic tools and you'll see it'll blow your face off.
I thought like 10 years ago when I first bought my tool chest, when I was working on my scooters a lot, I thought I was a big deal because I bought some of that rubber mat that you put in there for like my
that's a
mom
big
used
step,
to.
yeah.
My mom used to
Do the dishes
Yeah,
on
to
there?
keep the dishes from sliding. Like I put that in there.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, look at me, I'm a
Yeah,
real.
I thought that
garage
when
man."
I got my Craftsman tool chest and I
Yeah.
had the 2 levels and the stuff, but this is yours is a whole different world
So,
of beauty.
You need to Febreze your tools.
let's talk compressors
Yep.
and let's talk shop vacs.
Or is Tom on the wrong track? Are there other things that should be your essentials?
Well, I think the next essential, which you'll use more than anything else you ever use, is like a small, I have like a Milwaukee M12, like a little impact and a little drill.
Yeah.
Like a little,
Gotta
like a
have
small
those.
one, because those have some power. And,
You have an impact drill and a regular drill?
Correct.
All right, I
mean,
got that.
hypothetically, you could use your impact drill if you are bare bones. You could make your
Get
impact drill
one.
into a regular one, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's just a drill
Just take it off
usually
the
isn't
setting.
as good with torque and
Yeah.
vice versa. So you can get a set of those. You get like Ryobi for like $100.
yeah,
or
Tom
something.
weighing in, he has that.
You're
On
Milwaukee's
the
your brand
board.
though?
On the board.
Milwaukee's my brand.
Really
yeah.
over DeWalt or
Yep.
really? Huh, interesting.
It's all in a giant pile.
Man, I felt like I made it when I got my DeWalt, so now I'm kind of
Yeah,
kicking
DeWalt's
myself.
a little janky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
And Ryobi's
Not
even
bad,
even
but-
janky.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Like,
Oh yeah. That's his private.
That's
I,
label.
starter.
I have a Ryobi drill that I bought for $35.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love it, but I just keep waiting for it to die.
I have burnt out a couple DeWalt
Yeah.
motors, so
I'd say Milwaukee, Makita, and Bosch. Would be
Okay,
like the
really?
3. I like Milwaukee. That's what I chose. That's my. It's like Apple. It's like your ecosystem.
Yeah.
You kind of.
so you're staying in it. You want everything
Yeah.
compatible
because then your batteries are interchangeable with other things.
Yeah.
I think when you're doing a compressor, like a little handheld pancake compressor, I think a real man needs that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go to the gas station janky, put your card in,
Yeah.
never works. You're punching it, trying to fill up your
And
tires.
maybe if you're drunk, you use it to pump up bike tires and blow all the tubes.
Here's my tip on,
I
on
might know
small
that guy.
compressors is don't let them walk away. Ladders and compressors are
don't lend anything to anybody ever.
That's right. But even people that come work at your house, I mean, you got to watch it.
Yeah, no, don't touch my stuff.
That's right.
Hey, see?
Ever.
You see what I've been telling you?
I know. Matt,
If Matt could have been there when that cable fell and hit the side of my scooter and chipped the paint, I'd have him kabong your head.
So, what about shop vacs? Because I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean-
people cheap out on shop vacs, and it's an important. Like for instance,
Gotta
I
have a
love
shop
my
vac.
shop
I got a
vac.
Gotta have a shop
I got
vac.
a Black Friday shop vac at Home Depot. It was like on sale for like $60, and it's lost its suction. It's never as good. I mean, I'm not cleaning
Have you
it.
changed the filter?
No, I'm not
Oh.
doing nothing.
I mean, Shopback is a brand. Shopback, they make
Oh, I didn't
good
know it.
versions.
Yeah. It's like
Actually, the
Kleenex.
Home Depot rigid version in a lot of cases is actually they do better.
I
in
actually
some
have a
cases.
Craftsman that my dad bought me, and it's dope. I love
And
it.
the
It's-
Craftsman's probably made by one of those
Yeah,
companies.
it's not
like
bad
It's
at all.
private labeled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to have one of those, but one of the keys to that is you want to vac the vac. You want to keep that clean. Otherwise, I bet yours has like
there's cement in there somehow.
There's dog hair from Lena, been dead 5 years. You know,
I hate keeping that clean, but there's nothing worse than walking around with like a real nasty looking, like you're trying to clean
defeats the
something
purpose.
up
It's backwards,
with
right?
something that's dirty. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I
The
just
worst
put
is
mine in
if
the
you
trash.
if your filter's off in any way and you're sucking up through your shop vac and it shoots out the other end.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get dust tornado in your.
So
that's not good.
So now
One time that happened, never again.
Now we got a bunch of stuff. We need to put it in something, and that's where cabinets come in.
Yeah.
You know?
So what kind of
Modular cabinet? They moving around? Are they on the wall?
No, well, like I have a. Never mind. I'm not going to tell you how much they are, but I have a big array of really expensive cabinets.
Yeah. I think I knew where you were going. I heard it. Which is a $200,000 cabinet.
No. But I'm like. That's like one of my things. Cabinet. I love
Yes.
cabinets. That's like one of my favorite things in the world. It's just that's the.
Has
that's
it
the
been
thing,
going
organizing
up
everything.
your demands on cabinets over the years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With what
Well, your
they can
budget's
do.
gone up too.
The features that they have and stuff like that.
Well, mainly just the quality, how much weight they can hold, and how sophisticated they are, like from a look and design perspective.
Right. How they close is obviously important.
I have my ecosystem. It's called Sonic, and so the tools inserts fit specifically into the drawers, and so I've actually took me 2 years to convince them, but I sell those. I'm the only one in the U.S. that sells them outside of them direct, and so they make these just amazing arrays of cabinet
So
options.
do you have like a signature model? Like that's like your...
No.
That'd be
I
cool,
don't.
right? With your signature on it or the Obsessed Garage
Yeah,
logo on it?
that would
That'd
be nice.
Dope.
Yeah, that's someday. Someday we'll get.
I mean,
there.
if Houdinki can do it with watches,
I almost
you should
bought
be
a
able to do
cabinet
it with
company.
cabinets.
Another cabinet company on the lower end that I sell is called Sabre.
Oh, yeah.
Sabre would be competitive with like New Age.
How long
which you see
till
at Costco?
How long till you start making cabinets?
Probably 2 years or so before I make my own.
I knew it was on the.
I like to
horizon.
be able to just fire a company and move on to the next. The chances of me building the best cabinets in the world is pretty slim.
Yeah. But you're
makes
not in
sense.
that business.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
could make a good model that's acceptable for most of your viewers and listeners.
And that's what it would be. It would be a lower end model that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Now, what about flooring? And that's probably our last thing we can talk about.
Yeah.
But,
Unfortunately.
so, are you a fan of like, say, the floor of your garage? A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go to Home Depot and they'll get the gray speckly,
grandma, the grandma epoxy.
Yeah, the epoxy paint with the speckles, because somehow we've realized that in the garage likes a little bit of speckles on the floor. That's
hides dirt. That's right.
The chip systems are designed to hide the fact that looks like crap. Because you can see all the roller marks and bugs get trapped in there, and the guy had the little spiky things you put on your shoes to walk on, and so the chip systems are designed to mask all of that. And I'm not. I could have an hour-long conversation about epoxy, but either leave the floor bare, get Swiss Trax flooring, call me and I'll tell you what to buy, or porcelain tile, but that's going to be like $18 a square foot.
Oh, so
nobody does porcelain tile.
What do you have in your garage?
I have Swiss Trax.
Yeah.
And what do you
have in your garage?
It's
Tom?
plastic. It's plastic
Oil
interlocking
stains.
tile.
Now, do you lift those up to clean underneath them
You just
periodically?
suck right up through it.
Do you ever have to lift them off to get the stuff
If you
that
spilled
does
some
creep under?
oil, maybe, but usually not. But they pop right
Yeah,
up.
they pop out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I hate the idea of plastic flooring, but it's our best option.
What's your opinion on the racks? I've seen it on like infomercials.
Oh, you
and
mean the
stuff.
one that you can lift
and
things?
you lift it up, to hide the
Throw all that junk away. You don't need that freaking rack.
No, he puts the French witch on it, and then he cranks her to the ceiling so nobody sees it.
What could possibly be on that rack that you need?
Oh, old paint cans, French witch, motorcycle tires, my old Ford F-150 tires.
I need to.
Got to keep those old Ford
someday,
F-150
Tom,
tires
a lot of empty
that are
vodka
dry rot.
bottles.
I want to burn it down. Matt.
Someday I'm gonna just send a waste management dumpster to your house, just anonymously.
Why would you
Just
send
have
a
a waste
disposal
management-
team.
Why would you send a better vessel than his house?
I started living in
he
it.
starts leaving everything in his house and living in the brand new clean dumpster because you're not going to send him a dirty dumpster.
I'll have him put like a little like little flowers, you can send flowers,
Yeah.
little
Put a
cards.
stick up in there.
Is
We got to
there
get
one
out of
more
here.
thing? Is there one more thing that we can mention quickly before we go?
So we got flooring, lighting, cabinets. You need a jack.
A jack.
A jack.
There you go.
Any brand.
And actually, believe it or not, I use a Harbor Freight Pittsburgh jack because I bought all these fancy ones and they all break. So I buy a Harbor Freight one and throw it away. The thing's 8 years old and it's still kicking.
Yeah.
And
I
if it
think the
breaks,
one-
it's cheap to get another.
Some things
Yeah.
are
I
tried.
think
Those are
the
150
motorcycle
bucks.
jack I have is Harbor Freight. My dad got it for me, and that thing you can
Yeah.
lift anything with it, and it
I like
won't-
some Harbor
it-
Freight.
because it's only got like two things it can do. It's like it's literally the most simple system you could ever create.
Yep, you need a
Matt,
jack.
let's do this more often.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
be
That's
cognizant
our
about-
fault for not reaching out to you, man.
Because we could do a whole show just on one particular thing.
That's right, we could.
We could.
As you do.
Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of things to talk about. So where can people find Obsessed Garage? YouTube, obviously.
Yeah, YouTube would be if you want the content.
Or Facebook.
Or go to the look for the Obsessed Garage Facebook group.
Yep.
If you're into this stuff, come join it. Lots of like-minded people in there. Or obsessedgarage.com is where I house. I have a podcast, and I also have a membership program similar to BDM.
Awesome.
It's
just
called
a lot more
It's
successful.
called Inside the Hex. I only have. I just started it last month. I have about 550 members, and
Whoa, there's more than us. No, I'm joking. This is all a facade.
It's close.
He pushes that little cardboard.
Oh my God.
550,000.
Samantha and
members on
Butler are robots that we purchased.
Yeah.
Butler's are just a real doll. We cut its hair short. Beautiful. All right, we got to get out of here. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Great job, everybody, and we will see you next week.